is Bob Beckel.
This is Cal Thomas, a conservative who is pro-life,
A liberal who once worked for Jimmy Carter.
who favors a smaller government,
Who believes in big government.
and in a town full of cheap shot artists, I've never heard Cal take a cheap shot.
But even when he's wrong, he's likable. And this is Common Ground.
And this is Common Ground.
Welcome again to Common Ground, a video version of Bob Beckel's and my bi-weekly USA Today column in which we try to figure out how to bridge Washington's partisan divide. Well, Bob, the Deficit Commission is out this week, at least by the end of the week, with its report. It took them a long time to get there. I had a very simple solution. I don't know why they didn't listen to me. The government spends too much money. That's why we have a deficit.
Gee, that's really thoughtful.
Saved a lot of time and
Maybe
money.
They should have made a commission of one out of you and been done with it. But listen, let me say at the outset, the two chairs of that, former Senator Simpson from Wyoming and
Erskine
Bowles from North Carolina, used to be in the Clinton administration,
Right.
deserve a lot of credit for trying to pull this thing together.
I agree with that.
Right now, they can't get the votes they need, which is why they delayed it. Why? Because they've taken a serious whack at the budget, taken on serious things, everything from entitlements to projects and things like the Farm Bill, all these sacrosanct things. And guess what? The Capitol Hill is running for cover like scalded dogs.
No, I agree with you. The entrenched interests in this town have made it almost impossible to cut anything. As we've said, I think Reagan said this, the only proof of eternal life in Washington is a government program. Once it starts, it's almost impossible to kill. But they've got some good ideas in this, and I don't think we ought to throw the baby out with the bathwater. For example, we have both agreed in our column and on this video before that there's a lot of the military budget that needs to be cut.
Absolutely.
Engines the military doesn't want to need or want. Aircraft carriers the military doesn't need or want. So that's one thing. We've also agreed on means testing Medicare and raising the Social Security age, something else that is in the report. People are living longer, they're healthier, they're more prosperous, they want to work longer, many people. Give them that option if they want. Those are some good ideas.
Yeah, there are some good ideas, although I think there are some people, it ought to start, that ought to be grandfathered in, so we're sure that people say who are 45 now have the right to retire at the current age.
Right.
But I noticed that the new members of Congress on the House side, the Republicans, are following the lead of Mr. Ryan, the incumbent Republican
from Wisconsin,
who has suggested that Social Security and Medicare ought to be given as not as an entitlement anymore, but you ought to be able to invest it tax-free in accounts so that you can have that money to buy health insurance. The idea of investing old people's health in a bankrupt, disgraceful health insurance industry is beyond me. I don't get it.
I'd much rather have it not in the health insurance industry, but into the stock market with balanced mutual funds, which on average, for the last over 60 years, has increased 10%. This is real money that people would be able to retire on and count on, rather than having to live off their children and grandchildren's tax money.
Well, first of all, I think you're talking more about Social Security than Medicare. But having said that, I was very happy to see finally somebody have the courage to raise the Farm Bill, which will be back up this year. Tens of billions of dollars are expended every year by the taxpayers of this country to subsidize agricultural produce and products across this country, and it's a conspiracy between Democratic and Republican farm state members. And what they do is, among other things, they pay farmers not to grow.
Yeah. Well,
so you can play with the free markets, which you guys supposedly like so much. I think that thing ought to be cut all the way.
Well, I agree with that. Ethanol subsidies, too, is another thing.
Sure,
but if we want to pay people for not doing something, how about paying Congress for staying home? I'd be for that.
Yeah, I bet you would. Well, it's interesting. I've lost a lot of friends in this last election who are going to be going home, and a lot of them did actually move here, and this sort of become their home. And something you and I have talked about. It's too bad more of these members don't. Now they're working. The new schedule is working Tuesday night, Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
ridiculous. It's a part-time job. They ought to be paid part-time.
That's right.
Look, this is something that I've argued in the column, and philosophy drives policy. The one thing that the Debt Commission did not address is the proper role of the federal government. Thomas Paine said, the government that governs best governs least. And there's plenty in the Federalist Papers and the debates in the founding of this country where the founders understood that limited government and maximum liberty were in the best interests of the country. That's what I missed from this Debt Commission report.
That was not their challenge, was to come up with a definition of what government's supposed to be. I know you guys on the right would like to have that battle. And by the way, I was being nice to you today because it is your birthday.
That's
and so,
right.
And I know being 49 is tough. But
yeah.
But listen, the fact is I didn't raise the tax issue, which they had the courage to do, increase the gas tax and a few other things. I know that'll drive you crazy. But in the end, look, it's going to take a lot of courage on everybody's part here because people are going to have to sacrifice. Everybody's going to have to sacrifice. My fear is that there's not enough courage on Capitol Hill to do that. It's too bad this debt commission was not mandatory the way it was supposed to be and forced them to take a vote on this thing up or down. But in the end, it's going to be kids and grandkids who are going to suffer for people who don't have the courage to step to the plate today.
Term limits, get them out.
That's it. I'm for that. Look, hey, look, check out our column in the paper and on USA Today's opinion website at opinion.usatoday.com. Thanks for tuning in and come back again in 2 weeks for the next installment of Common Ground.